The disappearance commander Alina Vasquez stood at the observation deck of Mars Defense Station, watching the red planet's sunrise paint the sky in shades of amber and gold. She had been stationed here for 3 years, monitoring the outer reaches of the solar system for any signs of hostile alien activity. It was supposed to be a quiet assignment, a chance to advance her career, while staying out of the major conflicts that plagued the inner worlds. The morning peace shattered when Lieutenant Torres burst through the door, his face pale with shock. "Commander, you need to see this immediately. The Zephyrian fleet has vanished." Elena's coffee cup slipped from her hand, ceramic fragments scattering across the metal floor. The Zephyrian Empire had been humanity's most persistent enemy for the past decade. Their massive war fleet, consisting of over 1,200 ships carrying nearly 5 million soldiers, had been steadily approaching Earth for the past 2 months. Intelligence reports suggested they were planning the largest assault in human history. "What do you mean vanished?" Elena demanded, following Torres to the command center. "Gone, Commander. Completely gone. Our deep space sensors tracked them past Jupiter's orbit at 0347 hours. At 0352, they simply disappeared from all monitoring systems." Alina stared at the tactical display showing the last known position of the Zephyrian Armada. The fleet had been massive, stretching across several thousand kilometers of space. Ships don't just disappear, especially not entire fleets. "Run a full diagnostic on all sensors," she ordered. "Check for equipment malfunction, solar interference, anything that could explain this." While her team worked frantically, Alina contacted Earth Defense Command. General Marcus Stone's weathered face appeared on the secure communication channel. Behind him, she could see the chaos of the command center, officers running between stations, emergency lights flashing. "Alina, what's your status?" Stone asked, his voice tight with tension. "Sir, we've confirmed the disappearance. All 1,200 ships gone without a trace. No debris, no energy signatures, nothing. It's like they were never there." Stone's expression darkened. "We're getting similar reports from stations throughout the system. The Jovian defense grid lost contact at the same time. Whatever happened, it wasn't equipment failure." Dr. Yuki Tanaka's voice crackled through the communication system from her laboratory on Europa. "General, I'm detecting residual quantum fluctuations at the fleet's last known position. This isn't natural. Something caused a massive disturbance." In space-time, Alina felt a chill run down her spine. Quantum weapons were theoretical at best. No known civilization possessed the technology to manipulate space-time on such a scale. "Dr. Tanaka, could the Zephyrians have destroyed themselves somehow? Some kind of experimental weapon malfunction?" "Negative, Commander. The quantum signatures don't match Zephyrian technology. This is something else entirely, something we've never encountered before." Stone's face grew grim. "I'm calling an emergency session of the Defense Council. All department heads, Mars Station Command included. We need answers, and we need them fast." As the communication ended, Elena turned to her tactical officer, Captain Miguel Santos. "Miguel, I want continuous scans of the outer system. If something out there can make an entire fleet disappear, we need to know what we're dealing with." Santos nodded, his fingers flying across the control panel. "Commander, I'm also detecting some unusual gravitational readings near the asteroid belt. It's faint, but there's definitely something there." Alina walked to the main display, studying the data streaming across the screens. The gravitational anomalies were subtle, but they formed a pattern, like ripples in a pond. Something massive had moved through that region of space recently. "Sir," Torres called from his station, "we're receiving a priority transmission from the Galactic Council. They're sending an investigation team." Elena's stomach dropped. The Galactic Council was the governing body for all known civilizations in this sector of the galaxy. They rarely intervened in local conflicts, but the sudden disappearance of an entire fleet would certainly get their attention. "What's their estimated arrival time?" Elena asked. 18 hours, Commander. They're bringing representatives from 7 different species, including the Altarians and the Crystalline Collective. Alina knew both species well. The Altarians were master strategists, their military minds capable of analyzing complex situations with frightening efficiency. The Crystalline Collective were living computers, able to process vast amounts of data instantaneously. If anyone could figure out what happened to the Zephyrians, it would be them. As the hours passed, more disturbing information emerged. The quantum disturbances weren't limited to the fleet's disappearance point. Dr. Tanaka had detected similar, smaller signatures throughout the outer system, dating back several years. Whatever force had taken the Zephyrians had been active for a long time. Elena found herself staring at the tactical display, trying to make sense of the data. The Zephyrian Empire was known for their advanced technology and military prowess. They had conquered dozens of worlds. Their fleet was equipped with the most sophisticated shields and weapons in the galaxy. What could possibly have the power to make them vanish without a trace? Commander Santos said quietly, "I've been analyzing the fleet's last communications. There's something strange about their final transmission." Alina walked over to his station. "What kind of strange?" "They weren't transmitting on their standard military frequencies. This was on an emergency channel, and it's encrypted with codes we've never seen before. But there's something else. The message was directed toward Earth." "Earth? Why would they be sending encrypted messages to Earth?" Santos looked uncomfortable. "I don't know, Commander. But the transmission was sent just minutes before they disappeared." Felt a growing sense of unease. The Zephyrians had been humanity's enemies for years. Why would they be sending messages to Earth? And why use encryption that humans couldn't decode? As she pondered these questions, an alarm began sounding throughout the station. The long-range sensors had detected something approaching from the direction of the outer planets. It wasn't a ship in any conventional sense, but rather a disturbance in space itself, moving at impossible speeds. "All stations, red alert," Alina announced over the station's communication system. "Unknown contact approaching from Sector 7. Battle stations." The crew moved with practiced efficiency, preparing the station's defenses. But as Alina watched the approaching disturbance on the sensors, she realized that their weapons would be useless against whatever was coming. This wasn't a ship or a fleet. It was something far more alien and dangerous. The disturbance passed through the outer system without slowing, its gravitational effects causing minor fluctuations in the space station's orbit. As it moved past Mars, the sensors detected something that made Elena's blood run cold. The disturbance was following the same path the Zephyrian fleet had taken, heading directly toward Earth. "Torres, get me General Stone immediately," Alina ordered, "and prepare a full report of everything we've observed. Whatever happened to the Zephyrians, I have a feeling we're about to find out firsthand." As the communication channel opened, Alina stared out at the stars, wondering what ancient force had awakened in the depths of space. The Zephyrian fleet had been the most powerful military force in the sector, and something had made them disappear without a trace. Now that same force was heading toward Earth, and humanity was about to face its greatest challenge yet. The investigation begins. The Galactic Council investigation team arrived at Mars Defense Station exactly 18 hours after their first transmission. Alina watched from the observation deck as their ship approached, a massive crystalline vessel that seemed to bend light around its edges. She had never seen anything like it, and the sight filled her with both awe and apprehension. Ambassador Kethva of the Altarian Republic was the first to board the station. Standing nearly 3 meters tall, his blue-scaled skin shimmered under the artificial lighting, and his 4 arms moved with fluid grace as he greeted Alina. Behind him came Harmonics of Deep Thought, a member of the crystalline collective whose geometric form pulsed with internal light. Commander Vasquez Kethva said, his voice carrying the musical quality typical of his species, "We appreciate your cooperation in this matter. The disappearance of the Zephyrian fleet has implications that reach far beyond your solar system." Alina nodded respectfully. "Ambassador, we've compiled all available data on the incident. Dr. Tanaka from Europa Station has been analyzing the quantum signatures, and we've detected unusual gravitational anomalies throughout the outer system." Harmonics of Deep Thought's crystalline form brightened, and its translated voice echoed through the station's communication system. "The quantum disturbances are consistent with dimensional manipulation technology. However, no known civilization possesses such capabilities." Dr. Tanaka's image appeared on the main display, broadcasting from her laboratory on Europa. "Honored investigators, I've been studying the residual energy patterns for the past day. The signatures are unlike anything in our databases. They appear to originate from outside our dimension entirely." Alina saw the concern in Kethva's large, violet eyes. "Outside our dimension? Dr. Tanaka, are you suggesting interdimensional contact?" "I'm suggesting something more disturbing, Ambassador. The energy patterns show characteristics of controlled dimensional rifts. Whatever created them has the ability to open doorways between realities." The investigation team exchanged glances, their various forms of communication creating a symphony of lights, sounds, and electromagnetic pulses. Alina didn't understand their languages, but their concern was universal. "Captain." David Chin's voice crackled through the communication system from his deep space reconnaissance vessel, the Pathfinder. "Mars Station, this is Chen. We've reached the coordinates of the fleet's last known position. You're not going to believe what we've found out here." Alina activated the long-range visual link, and the main display filled with an image that made everyone in the room fall silent. Where the Zephyrian fleet should have been, there was nothing but empty space. But the emptiness itself was wrong, as if reality had been torn and imperfectly repaired. "Captain Chen, what are your sensor readings?" Alina asked. "Commander, we're detecting massive gravitational lensing in this region. Space-time is severely distorted. It's like looking at the universe through a broken mirror. And there's something else. We're picking up faint signals from what appears to be another dimension." Harmonics of Deep Thought's form pulsed rapidly, its light patterns becoming more complex. These distortions are consistent with forced dimensional translation. The Zephyrian fleet was not destroyed, it was transported elsewhere. Transported where? Alina demanded. "To a pocket dimension," Dr. Tanaka interjected, her voice filled with scientific excitement and terror. "I've been analyzing the quantum signatures. Whoever did this created a temporary dimensional space, pulled the entire fleet into it, and then sealed the rift." Ambassador Kethbra's forearms moved in a pattern that Alina recognized as deep concern. The energy requirements for such an operation would be astronomical. We're dealing with a civilization far more advanced than anything in our records. Alina felt a growing sense of dread. Ambassador, is it possible that the Zephyrians encountered something they couldn't handle? Something that saw them as a threat? That's exactly what I'm afraid of, Commander. Captain Chen's voice interrupted their discussion. Mars Station, we're detecting new energy signatures. Something is emerging from the dimensional distortion. The display shifted to show Chun's external cameras. Reality seemed to shimmer and bend, and then something stepped through the fabric of space itself. It wasn't a ship or a creature in any conventional sense, but rather a geometric impossibility that hurt to look at directly. By the stars, Kethfa whispered in his native language. The entity that emerged was composed of crystalline structures that existed in more dimensions than Elena's mind could process. It spoke without words, its message appearing directly in the consciousness of everyone watching. We are the void. Shepherds, we maintain the balance between dimensions. The aggressive ones have been relocated to preserve the harmony of this reality. Elena found her voice, despite the overwhelming presence pressing against her thoughts. What gives you the right to judge entire civilizations? We do not judge, we preserve. The Zephyrian Empire had chosen the path of destruction. Their fleet carried weapons capable of sterilizing entire star systems. We relocated them to a dimension where they can exist without threatening others. Dr. Tanaka's scientific mind was racing. For how long? What happens to the beings you relocate? They exist in a reality suited to their nature. Those who choose destruction find themselves in a dimension of eternal conflict. Those who choose harmony find peace. The choice has always been theirs. Harmonics of deep thoughts formed dimmed as it processed this information. You speak of choice, but you act without consultation. The Galactic Council governs this sector. Your council governs three-dimensional space. We shepherd the spaces between realities. The Zephyrians were preparing to use dimensional weapons against your Earth. We intervened to prevent a catastrophe that would have torn holes in the fabric of existence. Alina felt the blood drain from her face. Dimensional weapons. The Zephyrians never had that technology. They acquired it recently, from a source that your people are familiar with. The implication hit Alina like a physical blow. The Zephyrians had been working with someone who had access to dimensional technology, someone from Earth. Commander, Captain Chen's voice was tight with urgency. We're detecting multiple dimensional rifts opening throughout the system. The Shepherds aren't alone. The display showed dozens of geometric entities emerging from dimensional folds throughout the solar system. They moved with purpose, their impossible forms creating patterns of light and shadow that suggested vast intelligence and power. We have monitored your species for decades, the lead shepherd continued. Your people made contact with us 20 years ago. A small group of your leaders sought protection from the hostile forces that surrounded your world. Elena's mind reeled. You're saying Earth made a deal with you? Your leaders offered to serve as intermediaries, to help us identify civilizations that posed threats to dimensional stability. In return, we provided protection and guidance. Ambassador Kethfa scales shifted from blue to deep purple. A sign of extreme agitation. Commander Vasquez, did your government know about this alliance? Alina wanted to deny it, but the pieces were falling into place. The strange gravitational anomalies throughout the system, the encrypted messages from the Zephyrian fleet, the fact that Earth had survived numerous alien threats despite being a relatively young civilization. Humanity hadn't been lucky. They had been protected. I don't know, Ambassador, but I intend to find out. The Void Shepherd's presence intensified. The truth will emerge. Your species stands at a crossroads. You can continue to serve as shepherds of dimensional balance, or you can follow the path of those who came before you. The choice, as always, is yours. As the entity faded back into the dimensional fold, Alina realized that the disappearance of the Zephyrian fleet was just the beginning. Humanity was about to face a reckoning that would determine not just their survival, but their very nature. As a species, the investigation had revealed far more than anyone had expected. Earth wasn't just a victim of alien aggression. They were players in a cosmic game that spanned multiple dimensions. And somewhere in the corridors of power, people knew far more about humanity's true situation than they had ever admitted. Alina looked at the assembled investigators, seeing fear and suspicion in their alien features. The Galactic Council had come seeking answers about a missing fleet. Instead, they had discovered that one of their member species had been secretly allied with interdimensional entities for decades. "Ambassador," Alina said quietly, "I think we need to have a very serious conversation with Earth's leadership. It's time for some uncomfortable truths to come to light." As the investigation team prepared to depart for Earth, Alina couldn't shake the feeling that they were walking into a trap. The Void Shepherds had revealed just enough to raise questions, but their true agenda remained hidden, and somewhere in the corridors of power on Earth, people were making decisions that would affect the fate of humanity and potentially the entire galaxy. The Zephyrian fleet had vanished, but their disappearance had opened a door to secrets that would shake the foundations of human civilization. Alina just hoped that when the truth finally emerged, there would still be a humanity worth saving.